welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. It is finally 2021 and we are here. We made it out of 2020, and yeah, we broke through to a new year, new possibilities, a new beginning, a fresh start. Just an atmosphere that is full of possibilities. I don't know about you, but I am just so excited. I'm one of those people that are just excited about what 2020 has in store, about what 2021 rather has in store for us, about the plans, the dreams, the goals, the vision that I have for me and my children and my family. I'm excited about everything, and I'm feeling so grateful to be alive and to be here, because so much happened in 2020. So much happened in my personal life, so much happened in the world, so much happened just everywhere. I don't even need to ramble on and tell you about this. We all know what we've been through, but I'm excited to charge forward. I'm excited to step into a year, and just in the beginning of it, just begin to claim everything, begin to go for everything that I want. I think if there's anything that I've learned from 2020 that I appreciate, is that you might think that you have all the time in the world, that you can still just do this tomorrow, do this next month, do this next week, but actually you don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't know. In coming out of 2019, we didn't expect what we got in 2020. So for me, it teaches me that the moment that you have right now is the moment. It is the moment to step into and just, pursue your greatest self, pursue happiness, pursue peace, pursue love fiercely like you've never loved before. The moment is now, the time is now. We can't still be waiting for the stars to align, for our ducks to be in a row. It's time. It's crunch time. Every morning that we wake up, it's time that we need to exploit and bring our best and put our best foot forward and go for everything that we want. With those words, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I wish you nothing but the best in 2021. If you faced any challenges in 2020, if you faced any pain in 2020, I pray that you can be restored, and that you can find hope, and you can find a reason to go forward and continue to pursue your greatest selves. And as mothers, I always say this: when we pursue our greatest selves, when we don't give up, when we stay to fight another day regardless of what we are going through, that we are buying a future for our children. We are securing a life for them, not discounting the great pain and loss and trauma that a lot of us have gone through in this year. But it's just to say that despite it all, we can still charge forward. We can still be the best that we can be. We can still put our best foot forward. It is not over until it is over. We can still, whatever goals and plans we had in 2020 that maybe didn't come to life because of the pandemic, we can still do those things. We don't have to shelve them and forget about them. We can still charge forward and be the greatest mothers, dope mothers that we can be. So on that note, I actually bring you guys another book review today, and as usual, I bring you books that have impacted me in my life, that have touched me, that have contributed in my motherhood journey, and have made me improve myself in a way, so that I can offer a better me to the world and to my children and to everyone that I interact with, that I come across in this life. I want to be someone that leaves a positive contribution into their lives, and that's the purpose of that's really my purpose for reading. I read so that I can be better, so that I can learn from other people, and I'm so excited to be learning from today's author. This is her debut book. This is she's a new author, she's a new kid on the block, but she is so powerful. Without wasting any time, I will introduce to you today the book that we'll be reviewing, as well as the author. Let's get into it. The book that I'll be reviewing today is a debut book by Oluchi B Kolanisi. It is called I Before We. I want you to see it. It is called I Before We. How to navigate relationships by putting yourself first. This is a self-help book that is designed for the reader to start asking themselves questions about themselves, to start unpacking your inner self, and start being intimate with yourself in order to understand yourself better, and so that you can know how to present yourself in relationships that you have, how to present yourself in friendships, how to present yourself in romantic relationships, how to present yourself in, as a parent, as a mother to your children. This book really, really touched me. Like, I think going in and reading it, I didn't expect what I got. I didn't. Like, my expectations were blown out. I read this book in 2 days. Like, it took me 2 days. And I'm telling you, if I didn't have children who were nagging me and like asking, Mom this, Mom that, and whatever, like, I would have finished it in 1 day. I finished it in 2 days because that's how glued I was to it. It really opened my eyes. It confronted me in a way. That is the book we're reviewing today. You can get yourself a copy on Amazon. You can get yourself a copy on Take-A-Lot. Before I even get into the contents of the book and the impact that it has had on me, I think I want to give you a background on the author. So the author is Oluchi B Kolanisi. This is her first book, but it is not her first contribution to self-development, to personal development. She's been contributing via her blog, which is called Black Chronicles 101, which she later also converted into a vlog. I often watch a lot of her videos here on YouTube, on her channel called Black Chronicles 101, and she contributes to young people in corporate on how to better understand the corporate space, so that they can position and present themselves in a way that is profitable, in a way that will help them. You are in corporate in order to grow. So she touches on some of the subjects that may be hindering your growth in your career. So I'm very excited that she decided to write something that is outside of the corporate and entrepreneurship sort of bucket, and touch on personal. How do you navigate personal issues, your personal space, in order to present yourself in a better way, in order to present yourself in a way that will yield a positive outcome for you in the relationships that you get into. And that's what she's done in the book, as an extension of the work that she's been doing on her blog as well as on her vlog here on YouTube. So for me, what touched me the most about this book is that, often as people, when we enter into relationships, we scrutinize the parties that we are getting into relationships with. We spend a lot of time trying to understand those people, even if whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a relationship with your in-laws, whatever relationship. But when we go into relationships, the common thing for us people to do is to scrutinize and understand the next parties, to unpack the next person, unpack how they are impacting us positively, unpack how they are impacting us negatively. But rarely do we ever look at ourselves and scrutinize our contribution to the relationship. This is something that very few people do. It took therapy for me to be conscious about auditing the contribution that I make in the relationships that I develop out there. And for me, that's what I loved about this book. It forces you to look into yourself. In her efforts to try and get us as the readers of this book to introspect, she touches on communication, she touches on listening, she touches on setting boundaries, healthy boundaries. She touches on these things so that she can put a magnifying glass on them for you. And I love how she puts her personal experiences in order for you to get you to trust the information in order to get you to be comfortable. Because it is, I mean, if we're honest about it, it's very uncomfortable to look into yourself and ask yourself questions such as, am I a good listener? It's very uncomfortable. That's why a lot of us don't do it. That's why a lot of us don't ask ourselves, am I a good communicator? What can I do in order to cultivate a better communication style? You know, how can I communicate effectively in various relationships? We don't ask ourselves those questions because it's uncomfortable. So I love how Oluchi in this book makes the content relatable. She puts her personal experience and the challenges that she's had and how she's overcome most of these things. And she puts other people's experiences that she's encountered as well in this book, so that we can also be comfortable to join in on the journey and inspect ourselves and ask ourselves, do I have boundaries around myself? Do I set healthy boundaries? You know, for me, boundaries is one of those things that I always thought I was good at setting. Only when I sat down with myself, after reading this book, I realized that in actual fact, there's a lot of things that I'm not happy with, but I allow because I allow them because I feel it's better for everyone if I just let it slide. Why do you want to make things better for other people by making yourself uncomfortable? You know, those are questions that all of us need to sit down and ask ourselves. And that's just like one of the topics that she covers here that touched me so much. I had a takeaway in every chapter. I had homework in every chapter. And you know, the beautiful thing about it is that she didn't just make it a self-help book where you just read. There's a section in the book after every chapter where she brings it back to you. Now that she's given the advice, that she's shared her experience, that she's shed some light on some things. So there's a section where she sort of like gets you to reflect on the chapter that you've just read and to ask yourself the questions that, you know, will bring application, because reading and not applying something is like, it's a waste. Whatever you read, whatever you learn, you need to find application for it in your life. So at the end of every chapter, she gives you an opportunity to find application. I love that touch. I love how she's executed and structured the book in such a way that she makes sure that it does leave an impact in your life. It was such a blessing that I read this book at the end of a very tough year. I read this book at the end of a year that challenged me in ways that, sure, I never thought possible. So after every storm, after every trauma, it's very important to debrief, to sit down and say, okay, right, what has just happened? How did it impact me? How do I feel now about it? And, you know, to explore every emotion that situations get out of you. If you lost your job, what does it mean for you? How does it make you feel? You know, how does it make you, how does it change your perspective around certain things? In terms of finances, in terms of job security, in terms of your confidence, how does it affect those things? And it's important to sit down, but because as people, we're always in a rush to get to the next point. So this book was an opportunity for me and my experiences in 2020 to sit down with myself and introspect and unpack a lot of things that, you know, I've gone through in this year, in quarantine, out of quarantine, to just, you know, unpack them and fold up the year, knowing that, okay, right, this is how I'm charging forward to the next year. This is my plan, and this is why this plan exists. This is my vision. This is my goal. And this is the mindset that I'm walking into the new year with. It gives you an opportunity. I used it to feed into my vision board. I used the outcomes of the book to feed into my, you know, written vision, because every year I write down a personal strategy of, you know, what's the strategy for your life going into the new year. So it's the contents and the outcome of the book gave me the opportunity to feed into that in a way that I wouldn't have if I didn't get the book and it didn't shed the light that it did on me and my life. 3 key lessons that I'm taking away from this book are: First of all, in order to give your best into any relationship, you have to give the best to yourself first. You can't give what you don't have. In order to have a relationship that has good and sound communication, you need to discover what are your own communication pitfalls, address them, and work on becoming the best communicator. Then that way you're able to contribute to a relationship so that it can be, it can have the best communication, which is, the key and the foundation for any relationship. That's the first thing that, I took away from this book. And the second thing that I took away, the second lesson that I took away from this book was that self-awareness does not stop you from making mistakes, but it allows you to learn from them. Self-awareness does not stop you from making mistakes. Oftentimes there's a misconception that when you are self-aware, you don't make mistakes anymore. You know what you need to do. You can still make mistakes, but you learn from them because you are aware of the mistakes, their nature, and their outcome, and you're able to pick them up, almost immediately. Because the reality of the matter is that as people, we all have blind spots, aspects of our personality that we are not aware of. Now, if you are not aware that as a person, first of all, by virtue of being human, you have got blind spots, you've got aspects of your personality that you are not aware of, you will always feel attacked when people raise those, personality pitfalls. You'll always feel attacked. But if you are aware of the fact that you've got blind spots, first of all, when someone communicates to you that, you've done something in a way that maybe they did not appreciate it or in a wrong way, then you're able to receive that feedback and work with it and improve yourself. You're able to, in fact, appreciate it, not just receive it, but you're able to appreciate it. And secondly, when you are self-aware, you know what your blind spots are. As you go on the journey of self-awareness, you discover what your blind spots are. So sometimes, even before people raise them, or even if people don't raise them, you're able to pick up when you've misstepped in a situation, and you're able to own up to it, and you're able to improve, and you're able to gauge the progress that you're making with that personality pitfall that you might have with your blind spot. So that was number 2 for me. And the third and final thing that I'm taking away from this book, the third and final lesson, is that the past is where most of our beliefs, attitudes, and biases come from. The past is a teacher that we all need, but it's not a place where we should stay. It's not a place, because oftentimes we make a mistake of thinking that just because you dwell on your past, just because you dwell on things that happened, it means that you are aware of them, you're learning from them, you're deriving lessons from them. Sometimes you are just wallowing in your own misery. If it was a negative thing, you are just, living life backwards. The past is a place where we should visit, take notes, and move on, because life is meant to be lived forward. So I'm just going to read one passage out of this book as we close this review. So in her conclusion, she says, "My parents had their own trauma stemming from their dysfunctional upbringing. I had my own trauma from growing up in that dysfunctional home. This means that if I don't take the time to get to know myself and learn from my past and its lessons, I will be bringing the same dysfunctionality to my future family." This was so powerful. This touched me right at the end, because if we don't learn and unpack the traumas that we've been through in life and the traits, the character traits that those traumas, because trauma shapes you somehow. So if we don't unpack those traumas and understand the dysfunctionality that those traumas may have created in us, then we pass those on to our children. And that's the last thing that you want to do. You don't want to raise your children and give them a childhood that they will have to one day, have to heal from, have to put in the work that you should have put in order to, break away from certain things. You'd want the strongholds that will hold your children as they become adults to be healthy ones. You want to equip them with good things, but you can't give what you don't have. So when you take the time to assess what how your life has been shaped by the happenings in your life, to unpack and to heal those things, and to poke holes into certain beliefs and patterns that you've carried on over the years, to poke holes and to really scrutinize them, and to leave so that you can leave behind what does not serve you and what will not serve your children. If you don't do that, then you risk passing on to your children some of the things that didn't make you happy about yourself and your life. I hope you found something that resonates with you in this review and in this book. And if you find something that you feel in the book will impact you, I really encourage you to go and get the book. It's called I Before We. As I said, it's available on Amazon. It's available on Take-A-Lot. Get yourself a copy. And with that said, as we close off a review of this great book, I have a giveaway of 3 copies of this book, I Before We, How to Navigate Relationships by Putting Yourself First, by Oluchi B, Kolanisi. I've got 3 copies that I want to give away to 3 of you guys. I feel it will be a great way to start your year by having these conversations with yourself and just starting the year on a journey of self-awareness. And all that you have to do in order to get yourself a copy of this book is to tell us, why is self-awareness important to you? Why do you feel self-awareness is important to us as mothers? Just those 2 questions. Why is self-awareness important to you? And why do you believe self-awareness is important for us as mothers? You can leave a comment in the comment section below. And you can also comment on my Instagram on the giveaway post. So just give us an answer and stand a chance to get yourself a copy of this amazing book and change your life. Begin 2021 on a very high note of self-awareness. And that is all for me and the book review for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you to returning subscribers. And if you are new on the channel, please subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great 2021.